and welcome to my first ever cake tutorial. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. I'm so excited for you guys to follow along and get this cake baked. Like I talked about in my stories, if you haven't seen in my stories, we are making a funfetti cake. As you see, I don't have a funfetti cake box mix. I just have a Duncan Hines classic white cake mix. It's because I am actually adding my own sprinkles. As you guys know, I am a sprinkle fanatic, but you can also just buy the funfetti cake mix. It's up to you. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven to 350, grab my apron, and we're gonna get started. All right, so I've got my apron on. The oven is preheating to 350, so that's what I would go ahead and set your oven to if you haven't already. We're gonna have our box mix, our vanilla, some milk. If you have buttermilk, that's amazing. I don't have buttermilk, so it's fine. It's not gonna change anything. You can use regular or buttermilk, completely up to you. Some eggs. I'm gonna be using 3 eggs. And then I'm using an entire 8-ounce container of sour cream. Now you can use sour cream, you can use non-fat Greek yogurt, anything you want to use. But I personally think sour cream is the best. And you're also going to need some oil. So what I'm actually going to do first is I like to pre-set everything up, measure everything out, and already have it all ready to go for me. So I'm going to do that now, super fast, and we'll come back. So now everything is measured out. I went and grabbed myself a spatula and a whisk. These are the only 2 things you need. You don't even need to get your mixer out or anything like that. So what we're gonna actually do first is go ahead and crack our eggs into the bowl. If you're wondering how much all of this is, go to the description of this video where all of the measurements, everything you need is going to be listed out perfectly for you. All right. So we've got our eggs. I always put my eggs in first. Don't know why, but it's something that I've always done. So put my eggs in. And then next, after my eggs, my oil, just 1/3 of a cup of oil. And I'm gonna go ahead and give this a quick whisk, break up those yolks, that kind of thing. I'm not doing anything crazy here. I'm just breaking up the yolks, getting everything slightly mixed, but I'm not going too crazy. My milk, once again, you can use milk, buttermilk. Honestly, you could use creamer if you wanted like a certain flavor of cake. Since this is just a plain funfetti cake, I'm sticking with regular milk. And then lastly, I'm putting in my sour cream. Since I was able to buy it in the 8 ounces, I can just put the cup right in there. But if you didn't buy the 8-ounce container and you just have like a giant container of sour cream, you're using 1 cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this in. Perfect. And then it's nice because I can put all my trash in this little cup now. Alright, I'm gonna stir that up a little bit just to break up those big clumps of sour cream. Start to get them all close together, make them friends. And we are not trying to overmix this at all. So we're not doing anything crazy. We are just lightly mixing till things are combined, and I'm just trying to break up those big clumps. Notice I haven't even opened this box yet. This is gonna be the very last thing. So we're throwing in our little bit of vanilla. It's about a tablespoon. this mixture looks like so that you know what your mixture should kind of resemble. If it's not perfect, that's okay. So this is our mixture. You can tell it's smooth. There's some clumps still in it, but for the most part, it's smooth. And that took me, what, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's not hard. So I got these fall-themed purse sprinkles from Sweetopolita, but I know with fall season, if you go to Walmart, all of the Halloween, fall, all that's already out. Or what I also like to do is all of my leftover sprinkles, I make these funfetti mixes is what I call them. So I'm going to show them to you. So these are just leftover sprinkles that I have, and they all go into this container. So whenever I make a funfetti cake and I want to use bright colors, I just use these because they're all different kinds of sprinkles. They're super colorful. I don't know. I find them fun. So, but today we're using the fall themed because it's a fall themed cake. So let's go ahead and fold these in. This is about 1/4 cup of sprinkles. If you mix it up and find that it's not enough, you can obviously add up to 1/2 cup, but please don't go over 1/2 cup of sprinkles. It'll be too sugary and it'll weigh down your cake mix. We don't want that. Oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. So I'm gonna get this folded in and I will be right back. I'll show you guys what the final product looks like. So we've got all of our sprinkles mixed in. So you can clearly see the sprinkles, but it's not being overrun with sprinkles. That's kind of what you want. And I'm gonna actually stop playing with this because I don't want this to get overmixed. If you overmix your cake mix, you are running a lot of risks. It could fall in the oven and not bake evenly. It could be super dry because you got too much air in it. You might have like these big pockets of air by mixing air into it. So once you get your sprinkles folded in and you can get a consistency that you like, this is the consistency that I kind of like. It's just, it's coating and it's staying mostly on the spatula. Don't touch it anymore. So now we actually have to prep our cake pan. Okay guys, so I got my cake pans all prepared. So now we are actually just going to plop this right in. As you can see, I have an ice cream scoop, and then I have my 3 6-inch containers. If you don't want to use 6-inch cake pans, if you don't have them, you can always use 8-inch. I wouldn't use the 10-inch cake pans if that's what you have, just because those cake rounds are kind of hard, especially as a beginner, to kind of work around. So if you don't have your 8-inch, definitely just go buy some cheap little cake pans from Walmart or something. A lot of people are like, oh, you have to live by like these perfect cake pans. As you can see, I have 2 different kinds of cake pans and they all work just the same. One is not superior to the other, or else I wouldn't use one or the other. Like I wouldn't use them together. So now that that's been said, I'm just gonna take 1 scoop and I'm just going to plop it between each thing, and I'm going to keep going around the circle until I'm out of batter. Alright, so now that we have our 3 cake pans, I just like to shake them in the air a little bit, flatten them out, but I don't want to I used to slam them against my countertop, and then I learned that that actually incorporates a lot of air into the batter as well. So I just kind of shake it, even it all out, and I do the same thing. You shouldn't have to aggressively tap them either, especially if you're using the ice cream scoop method. It's all gonna disperse pretty evenly, especially if you're paying attention to where exactly you're scooping inside. I always like to make like a circular pattern, so I plop in the middle and then I go around. And it usually is pretty even. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then the next half of this video is gonna be all about decorating, and I'm gonna give you guys my buttercream recipe, so stay tuned. All right, so we've mixed our buttercream up and it's pretty much ready to go. So let me show you guys the paddle. We'll get some actually. So see how it is pretty much fully white, and it's got this super fluffy but also kind of velvety texture. We're pretty much right where we want it. However, there is still some air in this buttercream. That's just gonna happen. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna beat this at a really high speed for a very short amount of time, really get it fluffed up, and then we're gonna put it on a really low speed for maybe a minute, and then we're actually gonna take a wooden spoon, and the wooden spoon is actually going to get the rest of the air bubbles out. So once I get this put in here, I'm gonna raise this up. We're gonna mix this on high for about, like I said, like 30 seconds. It does not need to be a long time. Words. So, if you're wondering why we're doing that, essentially what we're trying to do is activate that heavy whipping cream to make a little bit more of that whipped cream texture. You don't want your buttercream to be heavy. Have you ever bitten into a cake and you're like, that buttercream is dense and heavy and overly powdered sugary? We don't want that. I've made buttercream like that. It's not very good. So that's why we do that. This is gonna mix, like I said, for about a minute, and it's just on stir mode right now. Literally just beating those air bubbles out a little bit, and then I am going to pull it when I like the look of it, and I'm gonna finish it off with a wooden spoon. I don't know what the magic is, but Baking with Blondie, who's on Instagram, she's a huge inspiration of mine. She always uses a wooden spoon at the end of her buttercream, and her buttercream always turns out absolutely beautifully. So that's what I'm going to be doing as well. And that's what I've been doing for maybe 2 or 3 years now. So that's what we're going to do. All right, let me show you guys this while it's stirring in the bowl. So you see how there's not a lot of air. You don't see a lot of bubbles except for up against the side. That's because that paddle is beating those bubbles out. So I like it like that. We're gonna turn it off. We're gonna take it down. We're gonna take this, and we're gonna be dyeing this buttercream for this fall themed cake. We're gonna be making little pumpkins. They're gonna be so cute. I'm so excited. So we're just gonna take that, and it should come off the paddle pretty easily. If you let it whip the right way, it should come right off. Look how thin that is. Now you can either be anal and scrape all this off. I just let my dog lick this off, to be honest, and then I throw this in the dishwasher after he's licked it. But you have more than enough buttercream now to not only make your cake, but you can decorate it now too, because you have the perfect amount. So now we're going to come over here with our perfectly made buttercream, and it actually doesn't look like it really needs the wooden spoon. It actually looks pretty velvety. Yeah, it actually looks really good. But we're gonna do it anyway, just for practice. So, regular wooden spoon, and you're just gonna stir it around. Honestly, I don't know how I got this so perfect, but there's like hardly any air bubbles. So I'm just stirring in like 8 count motions. So let me show you. I'm making like a figure 8. So I'm getting everything around, just beating those air bubbles out a little bit more. All right, perfect. So there's still some air bubbles but not enough to where I feel worried because I am also going to be dyeing this buttercream. So we're not gonna have any white. And so you're gonna stir it up more when you dye it. So this is about perfect. Oh, it looks so good, I'm so excited. So now, we gotta dye this all the colors. I'm gonna go off, I'm gonna do that. We'll come back with all of our color frosting. We're gonna get started.